So the next one will be go to the fan coil unit. So basically the fan coil unit, or what we call FCU, is same like AHU, but somehow the FCU is much more smaller from the AHU, and usually FCU will be located above the ceiling. So AHU, air handling unit, or AHU, may supply to the air to the bigger zone, big multiple room and bigger size. But the FCU, or fan coil unit, is somehow smaller from AHU and located above the ceiling and supply into the selected zone or selected area. So that's why the FCU is much more smaller. So FCU is a simple device that regulates the air, and usually it is controlled by the thermostat. Thermostat is usually located inside the room, so that's why I call FCU is supply the air to the selected zone, selected room. So the room itself will be controlled by the thermostat inside the room that tell the FCU either want to low or big size of volume of air, velocity supply. So you can normally see the application of FCU in the hotel room. If you are coming to the hotel room, they will be supplied by either fan coil unit or split unit system. But in high-end hotel, they usually will use the FCU. So FCU usually will have two pipe connect to the FCU, or either two pipe or four pipes. So basically there are several differences between the AHU and the FCU. And like I mentioned before, AHU is generally bigger system than the FCU. And AHU is more complex than the FCU, and AHU are often used in bigger establishment or space. It's same what I have discussed earlier. So the AHU is usually use ducting or ducts, whereas the FCU don't have any ductwork. So, but please be remember, somehow usually the FCU also will be included with the ductwork system if the diffuser is far from the FCU unit. So they must use the FCU. So usually FCU also have the panel that can include and locate the ductwork system connected to the AHU. And AHU system treat outside air, while FCU basically recycle or recirculate the air. This is quite true. So because the AHU we can mix together fresh air and the return air, but somehow usually the FCU only recycle and recirculates the air from the room, from the return air. But still you can modify the FCU, and you still can use the fresh air to mix with the return air, but somehow it will be quite different from normal FCU that we have. So next one will be the AHU section for reheating and rehumidifying, whereas the FCU doesn't have any of the reheating element. And FCU is often observed to be noisier than AHU. Because what? Because the FCU usually will be located above the ceiling and inside the room. So that's why we feel that the FCU is noisier than AHU. But basically, if the AHU is located near to us, AHU is also noisy than the FCU. And then now let us look together on the duct side or ductwork. So ducting, as I mentioned before, is an equipment or channel that deliver and remove the air from the building space. If they want to deliver the air, we call it the supply air. And if you want to remove the air, we call it the return air or exhaust from the building space. So usually the ducting system or ductwork is categorized into several types, which is according to the material that they are used. The first one is galvanized mild steel. This is one of the most common usage of the duct. Common use ducting, we are using GI, galvanized mild steel. So because the galvanized mild steel is quite cheap compared to others, so GI and galvanized mild steel is coming usually in the plate type, in the sheet metal type. So we will cut it and uh, make it in a box to make sure it is like a ducting system. So then we'll be use the polyurethane and planing insulation panel, and then we have used the fiberglass duct board. This is quite expensive, and then we can use the flexible ducting. Flexible ducting also quite common because usually flexible ducting will be used to connect the ducting from the galvanized mild steel to the diffuser. So usually we'll be use the flexible ducting. Then the next one will be the fabric duct. Fabric duct now is quite common, and we actually UTEM or FTKMP have the MOU with the Prehoda. So Prehoda company is one of the most famous fabric duct supplier in worldwide. So you can see the fabric duct in our industrial HVAC laboratory. So now let us look at the example of the ductwork. So you can see the ductwork or ducting system. Usually, if you are going to the shopping complex that doesn't have any shielding, so you can see the entire of ductwork system in the on the floor, on the level. So it may come in either in round type or the rectangular shape, but usually the round duct will be quite expensive rather than the rectangular shape. So the ratio between the width and the height is preferred to be small as possible. This is because we want to make sure the ductwork system or our ducting system is fit to our shielding space, because usually the shielding space is quite limited, and there will be a lot of service above our shielding. For example, there will be the plumbing system, the electrical system. So that's why ducting will be take a lot of space above the ceiling. So that's why we have to make sure the width and the height is as small as possible and fit to our ceiling. So now let us remember a little bit on the centralized system. So because of what? Because the ducting and ductwork system usually will be used in the centralized system. We are not using in split unit system because we already have the vapor direct expansion system. But if we are using the centralized system, we will have the chiller, chill water pump, condenser water pump, cooling tower, expansion tank, and we have the AHU and the FCU. So this is one of the example of ducting that connected to the AHU. This is the example. This part will be the AHU part. This part will be the return ductwork system that that have the return air coming from the building, from the space to the AHU. And meanwhile, this is just our supply duct. And then now I have another example, quite clear picture on the ductwork system. So this will be our air handling unit. This is what we call the main duct, and they are using the rectangular duct. So as you can see here, the size of the duct will be smaller from the the beginning of the ductwork system. So because we want to have if we are using smaller size of duct, there will be increase of the size of the velocity. So if you want to reduce the size of duct, usually we will use the panel duct transition, or what we call the reducer. So and then this is what we call the branch duct. There will be here is also branch duct, and then also here is the branch duct. So the branch duct, usually we will also have the elbow here, the 30-degree elbow, 90-degree elbow, and we also have the T piece of panel duct that can branch the duct into the other two ways. And then we also have the round boot, panel duct round boot. If we are using the main duct in rectangular size, so we want to have we want to attach the flexible ducting direct to the main duct, so we will use the round boot, panel duct round boot, and then this is the flexible ducting. Here also we have the VCD, and then we have the square round transition, and then this is the round ducting. This is the supply grill or the supply diffuser, and then we also have the supply grill directly to the main duct. And then at the end of the branch duct here, is if we doesn't have any branch here, we also have the panel duct spigot here. So we calculate the ductwork size. We will use the formula of Q equal to AV. Q will be the flow rate, A is the area and in feet square, and V is the velocity in unit of feet per minute. So we will continue our lecture on the ductwork maintenance next week in week 9. So see you guys again soon. So I will stop here. Thank you very much. Hope you guys are in a very good condition and good health. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.